Hi, I'm Dan.
And I'm Matt. Aran. Like A-R-A-N? Because you
Yeah.
said Samus's last name is Aran. I knew
Yes,
that.
I did say
And
that.
Aran so far away. Couldn't get away. Ow!
This is a video we're gonna do. We're gonna try to convince each other to play a game. And now, I'm going to convince Matt to play the Metroid games, and Matt
I'm kind of blown away that Dan has not played The Last of Us.
haven't yet. So that's what Nerd Dump's about today. Check it. So yeah, I'm here to convince Matt to play the Metroid series.
I'm not against it. It's something I never got into. I know Samus is awesome and powerful and beautiful, and she can turn into a ball, and she's not related to Mega Man in any way, and that Ridley Scott is in the game.
Are you done yet?
No.
All right. So the first foray into Metroid would be, of course, Metroid
That is pretty cool.
for the NES. Now, this game I would not recommend being your first Metroid game, as it is hard and difficult, and there's no map or anything like that, and things of that sort. Things of that sort. I lost my glasses.
I lost my glasses.
My first suggestion into Metroid would be to play the Metroid 2 for the Game Boy.
I've heard about this online. This is a pretty good game.
They still haven't incorporated the map, but somehow on the Game Boy, they were able to make the graphics punch out just that much better.
Okay. Got time and work.
There's a goal in it. When you start off an NES Metroid, it's very ambiguous what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to go.
Yeah, that's the point,
This one
man.
has a counter in it. You see this number in the corner, and you're like, what's that? You defeat your
clock.
first Metroid, and you go, oh, the number goes down. You get a goal.
All right. I do like goals.
Both those games, I'm not saying anything bad about the first Metroid NES game. It's great. You get power-ups and all that kind of stuff. They even have in the American version, the Japanese version, they put a battery in so you can save your game. The American version, you have to use a password, but whatever.
All right. All right.
And then Metroid 2 is great. It actually saves your progress on the Game Boy if you have a good battery. But the thing not playing a Metroid game, Matt, you have missed, is the best game of all, which is Super Metroid.
Starring Alia. I got
Super Metroid is just, damn. The music in this game is, you feel the isolation in it. They did a really good job. They did so well in this. The power ups you can get, the weapon stacking, all that kind of stuff is a great 2D experience for a Metroid game.
Okay.
I don't think you'll get an argument from anyone that likes Metroid that'll say Super Metroid.
This is still in the side-scroller era, correct?
Yes, this is a 2D game.
I can dig that.
You will not regret playing Super Metroid. Now, Nintendo, of course, having trouble getting all their different IPs into the 3D realm. There's no Metroid on the N64 except for Smash Bros.
Okay.
But what we do get in the GameCube is Metroid Prime.
Okay.
This game, holy crap. If you don't play any Metroid game, play this one. This is the one, the foray into 3D, they do it, it's like a first person, but it's not a first person shooter, it's a first person shooter / adventure.
Okay, so they're moving from side-scrollers to 3D.
Yes.
How does this compare, say, side-scroller to 3D like Mega Man X6 versus Mega Man X7?
No, they didn't do it that bad.
That makes me feel
It's
bad.
all at first person, but you're in the, you know how Samus has the visor? Mm-hmm. So they kind of implement that into your screen.
Like
so
a
it's
HUD?
Like, yeah, like a HUD. Yeah, you're seeing like through her. So if you get steam against her face, you can actually see from the reflection of her face onto your.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah, it's really cool. They really incorporate
it's a nice little idea.
And they made it more a little bit of puzzles and everything. There's a lot of backtracking in Metroid Prime, the first one.
Can work with that though.
But I mean, that's all Metroids have backtracking.
Resident Evil does it. I'm a big fan of those.
Yeah,
so,
there you go. And then, of course, on the GameCube, they do Metroid Prime 2, where they tweaked all the great elements about Metroid Prime and made it into a super awesome freaking game.
Would you call that a superior sequel?
Yes.
Or just a better game? Or
It's like where they take the original game where they had all these ideas to make it 3D, and they go, I wish we had done this. And then,
okay.
Yeah.
All right, that's kind of cool.
Yeah,
actually.
it's a good...
I didn't know that.
Good freaking game. Your main antagonist usually through Metroid games is Ridley, which is in Super Smash Bros. The Ultimate. Finally.
He doesn't like the Marvel Universe, apparently. Oh, that's a different Ridley.
All right, go away, Alia.
Oh.
No,
Would you like to know more?
No. But in the Prime series, yes, Ridley is in the first one, but your main antagonist now becomes...
Sigma.
No. It's actually...
Vegeta.
The Metroid turns into...
Props
Dark
you have
Samus.
around. Oh, shoot.
Yeah. So it's actually really cool.
Nightmare
So-
Samus.
You go in 2, they introduce Dark Samus, right? Which is featured, I believe, in Wii U's version of Super Smash Bros. And in Ultimate.
Okay, I've seen that in... Yeah, I've seen it in Smash.
But then you get your foray into Metroid Prime 3 for the Wii, which... motion controls. Blech. But it's a good game still. It's just motion controls.
Okay.
So you can never sit down and play it. You gotta aim. Great game. Again, Dark Samus is the protagonist in this one.
All right.
And during this time is also when they made Metroid Prime Hunters, which is a good game, but it's on the DS. I don't own it, so I can't do the flashy thing like this.
Dang. We could pretend.
Then they made Metroid Other M, which I would not ask you to play.
Ah.
I would not ask anyone to play
What
that
if
game.
I get really invested and I just want to play everything?
Well, yeah, I would suggest it then.
Okay.
Not as your first game.
Okay.
Your first game, I would, without a doubt, say play is Super Metroid.
So we have an X7 situation on our hands a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay.
Play X1 first.
I can understand what you mean by all this moving around then.
Yeah.
We're going Star Wars style.
Metroid, and then also during the time of Prime, Metroid Prime 1, 2, they had Metroid Prime 1, they had Metroid Fusion, which was a Game Boy Advance game. Really good. I don't own it, so I can't do the flash thing again.
Metroid.
But that's a good one. That's a good one.
Good.
But then you have Metroid Other M, which just kind of ruined... They were riding high on the Metroid franchise, right? It was doing really well.
Metroid Command Mission.
Then they released this game, and it just tanked it. If you're a big Metroid fan, I'd suggest playing it, but not as your first game. No.
You know what? In Smash Brothers, I hated Samus's level. That's right. I only ever play as Link.
Oh, really? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I only play as Ness, so...
That's fair.
I understand. Yeah. And then finally, as of last year, they released Metroid Dread, which is I haven't beaten the game yet, but I can say without a doubt is a great experience, Metroid experience. It's really freaking good.
All right.
But the whole game is in itself. It coined the term Metroidvania. You have Metroid and Castlevania, which made this backtracking, can only go through certain doors with equipment kind of thing. It's you like Resident Evil.
Yeah.
So I think you
semi-linear,
really like Metroid games.
but
I'm gonna have to let Matt borrow all of them so he can just fall in love with it.
Okay.
But yeah, that's my pitch on the Metroid series, Matt. I think you should play it without a doubt. It's a good Nintendo IP that deserves lots of attention.
Okay. I know Samus is awesome. Like, I've seen a lot of stuff. A lot of people talk about it. I guess I don't know how I kind of missed it. I just never really...
Well, that's my favorite thing. They were really inspired by the Alien franchise.
Yeah.
Back in the 80s. They made this in the first one in 86. Or, I'm sorry, 87. And if you beat the game in a certain way, Metroid reveals herself as a woman, and you're just playing as a woman the whole time, and it's like this no big deal thing. But yeah, I'm a girl, and then they just kept going on like that through Nintendo. It's like I'm a female.
I thought it was more like I've seen pictures where Ridley looks kind of like a xenomorph. So I thought
Ridley looks more like a pterodactyl.
Yeah, but I see a bit of the mix in there.
Yeah.
I'm Ridley.
Well, I'm not gonna get into
probably
the lore
not a good
of all
impression.
it.
I don't know. I really am blind to this. This is fun.
Yeah, it's a really good series that they haven't made that many games. It's not like Zelda or Mario where they keep making games for it. The Metroid series is a very kind of niche Nintendo franchise. So
yeah, I definitely know it's a tent pole for them.
Yeah, I'm missing. I think literally 3 of the games, and a Zelda stack would be like this. You know what I mean? A Mario would. You know what I'm saying? So, but it's a very niche. It's a very isolated kind of feeling game.
Okay.
With the backtracking and everything and
just
power
branches
ups.
It out.
Yeah, it's really good.
Oh man.
I think Matt might have a game he wants to pitch to me.
So, okay, this is a drastically different franchise type, even platform, outside of the whole isolation idea. So, well, I mean, related to that. So, very, very, very departed from the Metroid and Nintendo theme. I've been confused. Dan hasn't seen The Last of Us. Haven't played The Last of Us. So, The Last of Us, very distinct. If you know this game and this series, then you know what I'm going to get at. Because it's gripping, it's intense, and you go, I would not want to be in that situation in real life. Like, this is... The Last of Us takes a theme that gets so intensely emotional and so simultaneously character and story-driven all at once in such a great way that from the prologue level, which takes place in 2013, I believe is when the outbreak happens, to jumping 20 years ahead, to where you actually take on the main narrative of the game.
That's what happens 20 years after an apocalypse happens.
Basically, yes.
That's pretty cool.
And, you know, it's essentially you right away learn the type of people that are living in this world, why they're struggling so much. And the game isn't so much about this apocalyptic, like, zombie-like infection. It's not about just this collapse of society. It's about the type of people who have survived this ordeal and how they're trying to survive and keep the world going is what makes the game so gripping.
I've heard people relate kind of like a better video game experience of The Walking Dead, basically.
I could see that comparison.
Like, The Walking Dead video games, I've heard suck, but this is like what it should have been.
I'm not sure about those, but this is... The parallel is definitely
there.
I'm
saying that The Last of Us...
Okay, yeah.
Is a better version of the Walking Dead games. Like, that's what it should have been.
Well, it's like, they came out around that same hype era.
Yeah.
So, like, what this does, though, I mean, the primary story revolves around... Spoiler alert, it's still a newer franchise-ish, but if you're here, you probably
I think there's only 2 games, right?
There's only 2.
Yeah.
But this is concentrated on this guy named Joel.
Okay.
I don't want to give away too many spoilers for you, seriously. But the beginning of the game is, we're going to call traumatic. And jump ahead in the future, he's been through a lot and done a lot to stay alive, period. He winds up, he's a courier. He moves stuff around from, like, place to place. There's quarantine zones and places where people can survive safely-ish. He winds up he's trying to transport this girl. There's this resistance movement called the Fireflies. They're people who were basically wanting to restore government. Yeah, they want to restore government. Okay. They want to restore communication and connection around the world. At least that's what, you know, you're learning about.
Right.
You need to bring this girl from where you are to this place across the country. And you learn this isn't a true spoiler, this is genuinely a big part of the plot, so it's okay. She is immune to this infection. She's been bitten recently, and she's never turned. She's had no adverse effects, and they believe she biologically can create a vaccine. So your objective is to get her across the country. Okay. And the people that you start out with, your allies, everything takes directions and turns you don't necessarily expect or see coming. The game doesn't waste time in getting dark, disorienting, and alarming in a lot of ways. And the stuff you have to go through takes the better of a year over the narrative of the game, where
that's the game is like over the narrative of a year.
You're bonding between Joel and Ellie, and there's a big reason behind why that's important that you'll learn pretty quick. And the way it pays off, the way it plays out, is immense. And if you wind up getting in, it's a long ride. It's a pretty long game.
Now that's The Last of Us 2013, right?
Yeah, I believe so, yes.
The release date. Now there's another one for the PS4.
Yeah, it came out last year.
And that's
Last of Us
is
Part
that
2.
a direct sequel?
It's a direct
You
sequel.
played it?
Yeah, I have. It is a direct
that
sequel that is a much longer narrative.
Okay.
That also divides the world a little bit in terms of people you're paying attention to and controlling and focusing on.
Okay.
The plot is centric on the ending elements of the first game. They tie into each other extremely well. In the second one, the first game plays more on the theme of
survival horror?
Yeah, very much survival horror, but I'd say it's like bigger objective is the themes of relationships and what we are. Like, are you, even if you're a survivor, if you've made it, are you a killer or are you a monster or are you a type of person who still holds a moral ground and why you make your decisions? Right. There's a lot of that going on in this game. And then the second one's more about the decisions we make, why we did them, what are the repercussions of those decisions,
right.
And more importantly, even the repercussions, are those the right decisions? And that's where you branch into more characters and more... I can't give anything away about the second game because there's huge revelations from the first game, and I think it plays out well. Okay. And the game's, it's if you start it, be ready to sit down for a while.
Yeah,
but believe me, it gets going, and it's pretty linear. It lets you move and wander. There's not too much backtracking, but you'll do a lot of heavy environment exploring, finding items, a lot of crafting, and a lot of enemy encounters that are pretty diverse.
Okay.
Pretty difficult at times.
I don't want anyone to get me wrong on there. I've owned The Last of Us for
this is his
a while
copy.
Now, and I just haven't played it yet. And
I think you'll like it.
And I'm really into movies like The Road.
Mm-hmm.
You've seen that?
Yeah, you know,
I love The Walking Dead.
There's a great comparison to The Road with some of the characterization here. Yeah, there is actually.
I know nothing about the game. I've had it on my shelf for like a year.
I think you're in for a surprise if you start this one because once it gets going, you get into the prologue level. I think it's like 15, 20 minutes that teaches you the game while also setting it up. It punches extremely hard. And then once the game gets going, it only continues to elevate the stakes and the situation. This is seriously one of those 10 out of 10 narratives.
Right.
And I'm not kidding. There's going to be people with their complaints about this or that, but the game handles extremely well. It's one of those rare gems that's like very...
This is one you really recommend I finally sit down and play.
I think you'll really draw into it.
I think.
It's good.
I'm definitely going to do that.
It's hardcore in a lot of the greatest ways. And in a lot of the most, when I say bad ways, I just mean not against the game. I just mean bad ways. Like, people can be this way.
Do these characters do a good job of emotionally investing you? If it's like a drama horror kind of thing?
To my opinion, yes. The emotional investment is strong because it does a great job at connecting you to the characters.
Okay.
So as their ordeal unfolds and goes on, you not only get the sense of where they're both coming from, Joel and Ellie in this case, but you get this sense of why you get more and more nervous for them the further they go.
Right.
Because you start to wonder about the decisions they're making, why they're making them, but then, is that what I want for them? Because you wonder about their well-being, and you can connect to these characters.
Is there any puzzly elements to these?
A little bit. Not a ton. It's got some stuff that there's a particular level, it's probably midway into the game a bit, where you're at this other quarantine zone in the city, and you're trying to get out. There's this people there hunting you. It's a whole messy thing. You wind up in the basement of a hotel. If you play this, you know what I'm talking about. You kind of get yourself stuck down there, and you have to get generators going so that you can get yourself out. There's another part later in the game that's very similar to this, except you're getting yourself basically trapped in this like basement, and you have to get out of the doors, and believe me, there's bad guys on your tail that you don't want on your tail. It's very distressing the first time through because you're not sure. There's a lot of places in the game where you can fight or sneak, stealth or combat.
Oh, I've got a question about the game. Is this a zombie game?
Yes, in its essence.
All right, okay.
It's based on a fungus.
I just realized I never asked that about the game.
Well, it's based on a fungus called cordyceps, which exists in real life.
Right.
Which can infect and basically mess with the brain of the host, this exists in insects. It turns them into a zombie-like thing to make them do things.
Like the ants that have that fungus that grows out?
The jump to humans happens somewhere and goes awry so bad that they
kind of like that X-Files episode.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about? Where they go up to Antarctica and they find that fungus that kind of makes them aggressive.
Yeah, this is one of those slow burning too. Literally, people can be infected for literal decades and continue to sort of warp and mutate. Is
there a lot of isolation in this game?
Yeah, you spend a lot of time.
I love that stuff.
You spend a lot of time alone, but with the two of you. Yeah. So that allows that the game does a great job at fleshing out the narrative.
Well, I think above all, Resident Evil 0 taught us that being with someone else doesn't exactly make you feel like you're around a lot of people.
Well, it's like you can tell that like these characters are very different people. Yeah. Joel is a survivor to the core, and you can tell his character arc is massive in this game. And you know, you learn about the game so well through their dialogue, stuff happening, and I think it delivers it so well. I can't tell the developers enough praise. Like, you guys really knocked it out of the park with that game. A lot of the internet.
It's got a lot of praise on the game.
Oh, big
I just
time.
haven't played it.
Big
now,
time.
Does Joel?
He's your main.
Does he get shot into space and has to watch movies with two bad robots?
No, that doesn't happen to this
Joel.
Okay,
I'm sorry.
I think if that happened to this Joel, if suddenly he was captured,
Zombieland.
If he was like captured and shot into space, I'm pretty sure it wouldn't end well for anything on that space station. Right. Joel's pretty intense. I wouldn't want to mess with him.
So he has nothing to do with MST3K.
No, it's not that Joel. I mean, I can see the similarities now that you pointed out. They have the same name.
That's it.
I think you're in for a treat. I want to start gushing on it because the first time I played
Don't go too much into it.
No, first time I played it, I was like, I'll try this new game.
Yeah.
And it literally, like, for me, it knocked me out of my seat. The second I got started, I was like, what the heck is this? Like, it really punches hard. You're not sure the first time through.
I've had this thing for like a year.
It has good surprise. It has great revelation, and you're gonna go, whoa! The ending, again, the ending is strong in this game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
But it plays very dramatically, very paced. So it's not like an action game.
Yeah.
But there is a lot to do as you keep going.
So I think we got two good franchises up here right now.
I think we do.
You should play the Metroid, definitely. And you feel I should play The Last of Us.
I think we should.
I need to crack open finally and just get into it.
You're in for a ride, man.
It sounds good.
There's only 2 games, granted. It's newer, but both games are monsters.
Well, that's good that they haven't oversaturated.
No, there's not much. Both games are beasts.
That's why I was suggesting Metroid. They wait sometimes 10 years.
That works out. If you're building a quality title, I'm looking forward to a Last of Us 3 if it's going to happen. I'm not sure. I hope it does. I wonder if it will. If it doesn't...
But you don't want them to rush it.
Well, here's the thing. I'm going to say this. Again, non-spoilers to the end of any game for you and for people who haven't played them. Both games end in a way that you didn't... Like, they didn't have to do Chapter 2 or Part 2 after Part 1. But they did Part 2 in a way that very cleanly picked it up and going, all right, we can keep going from here because there's absolute consequences.
Is there an ambiguous ending to the first one?
The ending is ambiguous, but you can tell this is going to blow up at one point in the future. Okay. But will we see that? I don't know. Right. So the second one ends differently, but in a way where if they ended it now, we never get a Part 3.
Yeah.
I would be okay.
You played all through the second one?
Yeah, I would be okay if we never get a Part 3.
Yeah.
But if they do, I'm really looking forward to hoping they still put the same heart, energy, and time into it. Because both those games, they put, like, not just, like, everything in the kitchen sink. Like, the whole bathroom is in there. Like, they really went into those games. Like, I can't praise it enough in that regard. You can complain about what you will about either game, but there's no denying the amount of detail.
Right.
Not just artistically, but in design, writing, acting. Like, these guys all just blow it away.
All right. Well, you feel confident?
I'm feeling great, man.
All right.
I feel same with Metroid. Well, I'm excited here. I've always put it off because it never seems to draw me in, but I feel like if I start it,
I think you'd like
Metroid might be one of my favorites. It's hard to say.
I'm not doubting this Last of Us thing. I want to play it.
Metroid.
All right. Well,
I have Metroids.
I think we conclude this episode of Nerd Dump.
I think we have.
I'm as always Dan,
and I am Matt today.
And Ailey's
Oh.
going away. All right, well, we'll
Joel versus John Wick.
hey, if you think of a video game franchise that you think we should play, leave it in the comments, all right?
We've
And,
been pretty diverse. Stan's played more than I have in terms of a library, but
Well, Nintendo-wise,
we played
I
a
like
lot of stuff.
Nintendo.
I'm probably leaned much more into like the PlayStation spectrum and stuff.
Yeah.
He leaned more into Nintendo. That's where we went different ways a little bit after the
After
64.
the 64, yeah.
But that works though. We have stuff to talk about.
I bought the GameCube. He bought the PS2, man.
I have a lot of games you haven't played. I think you'll like.
Yeah.
Or you'll rage quit.
Rage quits. I'll put it down for a few months and then pick it back up. But yeah, Dan, Matt, Nerd Dump. We'll see you freaking next time. So we'll do Metroid first, and we'll do Foist. Yeah, I heard that. I heard you say it.
Do it, Foist.
Do the last one. All right, it's motion controls.
Okay.
So you can never sit down and play it. You gotta aim. You gotta aim. It's just motion control. It's just motion control. You gotta aim. It's just motion control. It's just motion control. You gotta aim. It's just motion controls.